Hey guys, Clint on ClintDarden.com, and of course, the house of biceps. I'm here doing a video analysis for Chris. Looking at your squat, there's a couple things that I'm seeing here that really stick out here. Right off the bat, let me show you how you're unracking the bar. You just good morninged it back. There was no arch coming out of the rack. That's the first thing we've got to fix, is the way you're unracking the bar. Right here, look where your knees are in comparison to your ankles and watch where that continues to be. You're bringing them in a little bit as you squat down on the way up. They're kind of going a little funky again. I think that's something that you have to address. Either you've got to sit back more, you possibly need to bring your feet out more, turn your heels out. There's something going on with your knees, and I constantly tell people to learn how to box squat properly, because you can free squat incorrectly and get away with it. And here we are again, unracking the bar. Look at your position just before you go to unrack the bar. That bar is way out over your toes. You got to be a beast just to unrack some seriously heavy weight, and that's how you unracked it. So that's got to change. You've got to get up under the bar. You've got to arch it out, not step it out, and not good morning it out either. Here we're seeing the same issue. Your knees are coming forward a little bit. There's not too terribly bad, but it could be better, especially with this wide of a stance. You could get some stronger hamstrings. You could learn to set back quite a bit more. Here we are with the knees here, and I'm doing a lot of this blind because my video is not like doing a lot of special effects on your video for some reason. So what we're seeing here is as it gets heavier and harder, watch your knees. The head went down. Then we've got to get rid of that little head drop right there. Your head keeps going down. You cannot do that with heavy weights. Once you start dropping your head with a heavy weight, you are going to drop the weight and you're not going to make the next rep. So yeah, this should be in semi-slow motion. You're shifting a little bit left and right. Your knees are kind of coming in and out at different angles. That's just something that we're going to have to look at and we're going to have to fix long term. And a lot of that can be fixed with a box squat. Now here we are on your bench press. Your bench press isn't terrible, but it's not great. Right off the bat, I'm seeing a huge lack of leg drive, and let me show you what's coming up right here. Let me stop this. Watch your right foot on the floor. Watch what is about to happen, because I had to watch this 2 or 3 times before I saw it. Watch this. Went down. You're moving that foot like you're playing the drums, and you've got to get rid of that. So if you are able to move your feet at all, if your knees move, if your legs move, that's a great sign that you're not using leg drive. Now, you pretty much have no arch here. You're going to have to learn to set up and get the bar. I keep telling people lately to get the bottom of your neck, not the top of your back, but try to get the bottom of your neck connected to the bench, as well as the bottom of your butt. And then you're going to have to learn to apply leg drive to that. And you're not applying any leg drive whatsoever. You also have a really, really long range of motion. You've got to learn to cut that down. You can do that with a lot of different board pressing options. And it's just practice racking and unracking the bar, doing everything you can to get your body in a better position to learn how to rack, unrack, and have the shortest range of motion possible. Those are the big things that I see standing up. You don't have any arch. You have a terrible setup. You've got to get your lower neck and your lower butt on the bench with a good arch, belly up, everything tight, and lots of leg drive. Quit playing the drums with your feet. Now here we are on your deadlift. Your deadlift's not terrible. There are a few small things that I picked up whenever I slowed some things down and whenever I broke everything down. I think... Let me see, your shoulders are a little bit too far in front of the bar. Look, we stopped this right here. Your shoulders are a little in front of the bar. It could be the camera angle as well. But this is the position you're at just below the knee. This is where you are above the knee. That the only way you're going to finish that is all lower back instead of using the legs that you have, and you've got strong legs. So I think you've got to work on making your arms longer, because it looks like you're shrugging already. It could be your body's natural structure, the way you're set up. You've got to make your arms longer. That's going to take some practice. Don't worry about leaning back and pulling the weight back any extra distance. And you've got to get your shoulders behind the bar. Now, I was really upset while watching most of these videos, and I kept seeing the same thing over and over and over. But as you went heavier and heavier and heavier, everything began to improve. But that was really, really impressive. So I don't know if some of that is just you getting warmed up. Some of that is just you getting kind of mentally crazy to do some deadlifts. because I'm the same way. I don't take anything serious until there's some serious weight on the bar. But your sets did seem to get better. I think it was this. This is the one I've broken down here. It's a good, solid set, really, really solid. You're setting up again. I think this is your heaviest set. I really don't know how much weight is on the bar. Let's look at where you are. Let me see here. Here we go. Let's look, point of impact right there. That's where the weight, that's a pretty solid position. The back is a little bit rounded, but your shoulders are kind of coming back a considerable amount more. Your head isn't too far from the bar. There you are just below the shin. And this is where things start to get magnified, that your back went kind of flat and your hips went up a little too fast. And here we are in slow motion. The video's not playing very nicely, but you can see that you're having to finish the entire lift with all lower back, and that a lot of that has to do with the fact that your hips are rising once the bar comes off the ground. Your startup is not terrible, but your hips are rising from there. A lot of that is fixed with Dimmel deadlifts, learning how to position yourself properly. Now, you sent me the sumo deadlift. I'm glad that you did. Very few people will send me video of them doing conventional and sumo. And I'm very glad that you did. There were a few things that I see. First of all, it shows me that you are a complete lifter and you're using both lifts to get strong at each other. That's a very good thing. Continue to do the sumo deadlifts no matter how bad you are at them, and you're not really that bad. One thing I'm picking up, and let's see if we can break this down here. Here we are at the point of impact. This is the start. It's not really that bad. I would like to see your butt down, possibly a little more, your crotch pushed into the bar. Now, that's really how you do a sumo deadlift. So you push your crotch into the bar as you stand up. So that's all I want you to think about, pushing your knees out and your crotch into the bar. There were a couple things that I'm seeing. I can't get the video to slow down, but it looks like you are shifting a little bit to the left and the right. Could be a mobility, an agility, or an injury issue. But all you need to do so much really on the sumo deadlifts is just more and more practice. Don't be afraid to put the plates on to raise the plates a little bit off the ground and to go from there. You don't have to do a full range of motion sumo deadlift. Use it as an accessory for your regular deadlift. Now here we are on your overhead press. You've got some pretty strong overhead pressing strength. Your agility and ability is not that bad. One thing I said right here, if we stop the video, it looks like the bar is in a straight line with your elbows. You need to learn to push your elbows out and not lean back so much. I can say this, I can't really do it, but I can say it. And really what I want to see is progress, and try to get your shoulders in front of the bar. Try to get your hands on or near your shoulders and be able to stand there in a more vertical position. I encourage you not to push towards failure on your overhead presses because you are a young guy. I would work continuously sub-max intensity and take no chances when it comes to shoulders. Make sure you are doing rotator cuff work. Make sure you are doing lat work. Make sure you are doing flexibility work and things like that with your shoulders. So where do you go from here as far as squats? I think you have to give an honest consideration to doing a solid box squat routine at least for a month, if not 8 weeks. You've got to be spending some time working on your positioning. You've got to work on unracking the bar. You've got to work on your bar speed as well. You've got to spend the time working on the technique, and I think the box squat is the best way to do that. I'm not saying throw your free squats out the window. I'm not saying you can't still free squat during the week, but you've got to do something to get better. At some point, you've got to look at your training program and you've got to say, yeah, I've trained to get stronger, but I've also trained to get technically more efficient, technically better as well. Your bench press, what do? You've got to work on your setup, and all you have to do to work on your setup, you can work on that every single day. All you need is your bench press, your rack, and an empty barbell. You can set up with the empty barbell. You can do one plate aside and just work on your setup and going through a checklist. Make sure your upper back, lower neck is set in the right spot. Make sure that your butt is set in the right spot. Make sure you're using so much leg drive that you are getting cramps through your hamstrings and your lower back, and that you're very uncomfortable the entire time. Spend some time working on getting the shortest range of motion possible. I would set up a semi-routine where you're rotating in and out some 4 boards, 3 boards, 2 boards, and 1 boards throughout your week and throughout the monthly training cycle. You need to be doing some more board presses to work on that shorter range of motion. and to strengthen your triceps. You also need to be doing some bench pressing against bands. It doesn't need to be killer against bands, but you don't need to be beating up your body. Whether it be bench press against bands and chains, bands or chains, just bands or just chains, you have got to learn to press with some intensity and some speed. You're really, really lackadaisical in your press. When it comes to your deadlift, I think you've got a lot of talent on your deadlift. You need to be working some Dimmel deadlifts. I'll try to link that video down below. You need to be working on some Dimmel deadlifts, just a positioning exercise. Spend the time on those, not worrying about getting stronger. Spend the time on those, just making sure you are in a correct position. Once you fix your positioning on the deadlifts, you're going to see your weights fly. At that point, you can just get stronger hamstrings and lower back, and your deadlift is going to shoot up like a sky. It's going to skyrocket. As far as your sumo deadlift, I would raise the bar and the plates off the ground a good 2 to 4 inches and do 3 sets of 5 at the end of every deadlift session with about 70% of your sumo 1 rep max, and use this just as an accessory exercise. Work on pushing your knees out and pushing your crotch in just to finish the lift. As far as overhead press, a quick reminder, get those elbows out in front, try and relax, try not to lean back, and just work on flexibility and technique. Do not kill yourself. Do not go to failure on these. Spend some time with your strict press. Spend some time with a push press. You can do some push press from behind the neck, push press in front of the neck. You can do some snatch grip work with pressing as well. But don't kill yourself. Hit yourself from all angles on these overhead presses, but you're too young to be pushing yourself too far on the overhead press. So I think you've got to get down and you've got to look at your program. You've got to look at your 3 to 4 main lifts and figure out what you're going to do to make each one of these lifts better, as well as what kind of reps, what kind of sets, what kind of exercises you're going to do to make these better. You need to just get stronger. You need to get technically more efficient. What do you need to do to get better? And then you got to look at your programming, make sure that your programming is designed to make you better at that. So anyway, Chris, I hope this helps you out a lot. Keep training, keep me updated with your training and your programming, and just keep getting stronger, brother.